All right. Hello, everyone. It's Julia Flaherty, Digital Marketing Specialist at Ledgeview Partners. Today, Greg Dove, the Director of Business Consulting at Ledgeview Partners, will walk you through a unique topic: how lubricant marketers use inside sales to drive new revenue, customer retention, and lead generation. But before I let him dive in, I would love to introduce Ledgeview Partners and cover a few housekeeping things with you. For those of you who aren't familiar with Ledgeview Partners, we are a business and technology consulting firm who puts the business process first to ensure our clients' success with the technology at hand. Whether that's a CRM solution like Microsoft Dynamics 365 or Salesforce, or marketing automation technology like Click Dimensions or Act-On software, among many others in the marketplace today. At Ledgeview, we provide comprehensive services from customer service to sales to marketing consulting to technological implementations like these. After today's webinar, be sure to add @ledgeviewpartners.com to your safe senders list in your email client that you registered with before we get started to ensure that you have no trouble receiving the on-demand link after today's presentation. If you find emails from us in your spam folder, mark it as not spam and add us to your safe senders list. Then you'll be able to share that link with your peers who'd also benefit from watching. Everyone is on listen-only mode today, but if you have a question or comment, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll follow up with you after today's presentation. Be sure to stick around for the whole presentation so you get access to some awesome supplementary materials like these that complement the content in today's webinar. So now that that's all out of the way, I want to introduce Greg Dove. Greg manages Ledgeview's business consulting division and sales and outsourcing programs, which he helps craft for Ledgeview Partners with his impressive background in team management, customer service management, and business consulting. Greg has achieved several sales awards throughout his career history, earning him a notable reputation in the industry. Greg has worked with several sales organizations, ranging from domestic to international, to build high-achieving sales teams time and time again. So now that you know more about today's presenter, let's hand things over to Greg so that he can dive right in.
Thanks, Julia. I appreciate the kind words and the introduction, and thank you to our audience for attending today. I'm really excited about today's agenda because I feel there's going to be a lot of real practical, quick implementations and learnings that you'll be able to use to impact your organization right away. We're going to talk about a typical sales organization. We'll talk about how inside sales can support lubrication marketers and not only their lead generation, but their account management and retention. We're going to talk about the benefits of inside sales to your business and just as importantly to your customer's business. And then with today's current economic and business climate with the ongoing pandemic, we're going to talk about what you can do today to help offset some of the problems you might be facing and to help you maintain your customers and even potentially gain new ones during this very difficult time for a lot of us, especially when we're looking at stay-at-home requirements and non-gathering and large groups. So we know how that affects you because it's certainly impacting the way Ledgeview Partners does business as well. So just to set the framework for today's webinar, I wanted to give you just a little background of a typical sales organization, or many of you might call it a sales structure. Now, I'll be the first to admit that one size doesn't fit all, so this isn't all-encompassing, but this is really what I've seen over my last 12 years working with Ledgeview and consulting and working with companies all throughout the world. And even prior to that, as I worked with some very large sales organizations. So let's kind of take a look and see what that is all comprised of. So we typically have a sales manager who is overseeing that entire team. And a lot of that focus and time for that sales manager is really coordinating, managing outside sales. And as a lot of you on this call probably know, it's focusing on growing your business, growing accounts, developing new leads and new opportunities, and moving them through your pipeline. A lot of time, this is really what your goals are made of, and those goals flow down to your overall team. So outside sales management by the sales manager, very typical and a very, very important role. When we look at the typical outside sales rep or field sales rep, and I'll use those terms kind of interchangeably, their number one thing is spending a lot of face-to-face time with those customers. So they are on the road knocking on the doors of prospective new clients and trying to get them into your sales funnel. And then they're also spending a lot of that same time on the road working with their larger accounts and their larger opportunities. So 90% of the typical outside salesperson is 90% of their time is spent on the road. And when you look at that dynamic right there, one of the first things that I've noticed and is very apparent to me is they struggle to meet with all of their customers. They are very often chasing that big opportunity, whether it be with an existing account or a new account, and that can really be all-consuming with them. And to no fault of their own, that focus and that drive to really make that happen with those bigger prospects and customers, it means that it's going to fall off somewhere. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but there's no doubt that they struggle to meet with all their customers and leads. There's usually just not enough time in the day to complete certain tasks. And that is certainly not an indictment on your outside sales reps. It's just a hard, cold reality. So certain tasks become less prioritized, and in some instances even fall off the priority list. So some of those are CRM entries, and even if you do have some high-performing reps that are using CRM to its fullest extent, or at least the best that they can, that you're going to find that oftentimes it's not used the way it could be, and they're oftentimes not using it to probably the satisfaction of their sales manager. So CRM entries, when they're done, are often done late at night, sometimes even put off to the weekend, and that is just not a best practice at all. With your customers and sometimes even your prospect, there can be pricing changes and issues, and those will probably rise above the CRM entries, but there will also be somewhat of a fall off. And unfortunately, sometimes they just get overlooked and not completed. And then finally, it's probably no surprise that when you're talking about strategic planning, a lot of that happens with your very large accounts, but that same level of attention and strategic planning or really kind of, intertwining of those relationships to help both of you achieve your goals doesn't happen with all the accounts. So within this typical organization, inside sales, if it is implemented, is very often managed by the sales manager. So they're managing inside sales and outside sales, and that again can encompass lead generation efforts and existing accounts. And one thing that you'll see is pretty common with these inside sales organizations, if they are implemented, they are not integrated with the overall sales organization. So they have quite often this kind of island mentality. And what that really does is it limits their interaction with their sales managers and their field sales counterparts. And this isn't often intended, but it's just a reality because you're focusing on your larger customers, and that takes a lot of everyone's time. So inside sales is oftentimes an afterthought, or maybe not even developed in a typical organization. Where it's developed, the account base is quite often really low in revenue and profit. And I've even seen where inside sales is implemented, but they're not focusing on handling any existing accounts whatsoever. They are just going down a path of 100% lead generation. And while that may work for some organizations or lubrication marketers, it is not the best approach. Inside sales has a lot to offer, so it really behooves you to have them call on existing accounts, and most often those accounts will be less strategic and transactional in nature. So that's typically what that accounts for. And the larger accounts who can probably use more attention have little to no interaction with inside sales. And where I've seen some of that interaction take place is if there's some type of shared resource or queue for incoming calls where other people can take those calls and they'll share that line with perhaps customer service or other inside sales reps, or they're kind of the front line of defense, if you will. So again, not a lot of contact with larger accounts, and selling for inside sales is typically limited to one or two product lines. Now, most lubrication marketers I have some type of sales focus in lubricants, a lot of times diesel exhaust fluid, fuel, and card lock, and some of the ancillary products like dust bond or even filters and things like that. But inside sales is usually limited to just one or two of those lines, and that's not utilizing them to their fullest potential. So some of the limitations of the sales organizations as I've laid them out and actually witnessed in my career is inside sales is just not valued. There's a lot of turnover in this role, and that usually happens for one of two reasons. The inside sales reps move on. So they get into the role and they may leave for greener pastures or a different industry, but they just do not stick in that role. And then the other way that there's turnover created is when an inside salesperson is groomed to move into field sales via their time spent in the inside sales role. And while this may be a benefit to the marketer or the lubrication company, it's not always a benefit for everyone involved, and it can be a little short-sighted because what you have is a constant churn in that position, and there's never really a lot of good, consistent communication with the same representatives. And I've also seen a lot of times where inside sales is a good spot where people will go before they retire, or to maybe bridge moving from field sales, but they don't want to retire, but they have some limitations that they can't be on the road anymore. And again, while that may be helpful in the short term, it's not the best scenario. You want to hire a real true inside sales professional, and that's where you'll get your biggest bang for the buck. Again, the collaboration between inside sales and the overall sales organization is very lacking, and that can really be a detriment to fully utilizing inside sales. Again, field sales is stretched so thin that it is really hard to hold them to some of the goals and initiatives that you probably have. So it's hard to get more out of an employee that's already stretched too thin. The activities that field sales could probably accomplish, those are really limited due to some of those administrative duties. And I'm sure you'll say, well, you just said some of those get pushed behind. And they do for sure. But even the ones that are accomplished, you're taking valuable time from that individual where they could be working with their larger accounts or prospects. And as we talked about, your large accounts don't get the attention they deserve, and that can be a real problem because it can make retention very low. So you want to make sure you're doing something to give them all the attention they deserve. And one of the real inherent issues with customers when it comes to field sales only is they can call their rep and they might not get a hold of them for several days because they're in other meetings, they're on the road, and it's just straight up hard for them to be available right when their customers need something. So oftentimes there's a lag, and again, that can lead to a retention problem. So one of the ways inside sales can support lubrication marketers is through an account pairing model with field sales on larger accounts or prospects. So what you're really looking to do is to increase customer touches through inside sales, and that can be in a number of ways. It can be through fielding inquiries from the larger customers. It can be through outbound calls to the larger customers, and it can be through emails. And this is a real collaborative effort between field sales and inside sales. And I've really, really seen it be successful and really produce some of the revenue growth and the share of wallet growth and maintain, if not even increase, customer retention. So working hand in hand together, they work to overcome some of the deficiencies with a typical field sales model. The inside sales rep could help with CRM activities. They can handle any pricing, promotion, planning type activities for those large accounts, again, as long as they're collaborating with their counterpart in field sales. And they can take those customer calls when your field rep is traveling or maybe on vacation, or even sometimes they might have a leave of absence. So all areas where inside sales can really pick the ball up and run with it to really help them. Inside sales can also, again, collaboratively take over some of your medium-sized accounts versus just the small transactional. Again, with the oversight of field sales, they could probably handle 90 to 95% of the work that is needed to maintain these medium-sized accounts, and then lean on that outside sales for that other 5 to 10% that's needed. They can also really work hand in hand to develop territories, and that would involve understanding what type of accounts you want to develop. So is it manufacturing? Is it resellers? And working together to develop and qualify leads for field sales and get them into the funnel. And once they're qualified, turn them over to field sales. And what you'll find is field sales will be very happy because they're spending their time on actually working a qualified lead versus a lead that has no chance of closing for them. So working hand in hand in the same manner to develop new, larger leads. And then growing share of wallet. You could very easily take all of your existing customers and put together a list of products that they're not carrying from you. So maybe they're buying their lubricants from you, but they're not buying their grease or their DEF. You can give inside sales a hit list and have them work with you to go into your accounts and grow that share of wallet. So some of the benefits of inside sales for your customers, they're going to notice a much, much quicker response time. And isn't that great? And isn't that what you want to do? Because nothing is going to help you have better retention than to respond to your customers in a very timely manner. And conversely, if you're not responding to them in a timely manner, that's when they go to your competitor. And trust me, your competitor is going to be there to serve their needs because they want that business just like you do. Reduce efforts for your customers to get the information they needed. Not only will they be able to get it quicker, but a lot of times it may be a little bit more comprehensive. And when they're asking for some of this information, it may allow the inside sales rep to understand their need and offer up some share of wallet opportunities to meet those needs. You're obviously going to experience growth with your customers by spending more time with them and by being much quicker to respond. So you're going to grow their accounts in addition to maintaining them and retaining them. There's going to be a cost savings for your customers. All want cost savings, and they want that in maintenance and in usage. So you can use inside sales to help you get the strategic nature of what your customers are doing, and then help with them with those goals of cost savings and usage and extended drain intervals and all of those things by just being more strategic and spending the time needed to understand those needs. You'll have obviously much better relationships, and I think if you have customers that you're now serving better, they're going to be much happier, and there will probably be some referrals and even some of their counterparts in the industry or their partners will be jealous when they hear how good a service they're getting from you. So really increase that attention, and you're going to strengthen those relationships and develop new ones. You'll also be able to work with those strategic initiatives, like I said, whether that's extending drain intervals, whether it's reducing downtime, whatever your customer needs, you can be there to work collaboratively with them to help them in those goals. And they're always going to be more informed, and you can really keep them up on industry trends and new products to help them achieve their goals. So some of the tools that you can use to support the process, number one is CRM. Obviously, I work for a company that puts customer relationship management at the forefront of everything, so that's going to be a real good point for me. But CRM can really, really help you. And when you have people that are using CRM to input the correct customer information, that makes CRM and that information that they gather so much more powerful. So CRM is great. And in the case where you have reps that are frankly going to be on the road and you want them to enter things, give them access to mobile CRM. We work with Salesforce, we work with Dynamics, and they both have very good mobile apps. And if you are working with other CRM solutions, and your topper tier CRM applications are all going to have some type of mobile app, and that's definitely worth checking into and investing in. Marketing automation may be something that's a little bit new to some of you, and that's just another way to take all of your customers, leads, prospects, and utilize automated marketing campaigns, product informations, promotions, flyers, you name it. Put that into a marketing automation tool, integrate it with CRM, and put it to work. You will capture data like you've never had before, and all of that data will be used to help you grow your business. Especially important right now where people aren't out and about visiting, make sure you have some type of format for conferencing and virtual meetings. And what a great time to roll it out now and get used to it, and then continue to evolve it after the whole pandemic kind of subsides. So these are things you can be doing right now that'll help you now, but also in the future. Have collaborative workspaces. So where inside sales and field sales work best together is if field sales can come in and have a area to meet with their counterparts. So you don't want them in there all day distracting them, but give them some space where they can meet and interact. So a collaborative workspace. And it may also make sense to have them somewhat close to customer service. I'm not recommending you tear down your entire office and redo it, but give them some space to work together. If you have multiple branches, it might be time to consider consolidating inside sales and customer service into one general area so they can all work together to support each other, offer backup, and really work on sharing of best practices. One of the other great things that more and more customers are doing, and I have even seen some lubrication marketers doing it, is to create an inside sales customer portal. And what you can offer through there is so valuable, and it can be anything from putting material safety data sheets to pricing on certain areas. Again, you'll want to lock that down and make sure you have logins. It may be even opportunity to enter their orders, but you can do so much with an inside sales customer portal. And then when opportunities come in, let inside sales qualify them, let them work them, and then pass them on to field sales. So don't be afraid to sign it to one or the other, or at a bare minimum, use them jointly to develop that opportunity and use field sales to close it. So some of the implications for today. Field sales is mimicking inside sales. So since they can't go out and visit their customers, they're doing a lot of work from the inside. They need to be properly trained and equipped. So maybe you need to bring someone in to train them, or you should have them spend time with inside sales. But don't just assume that inside sales is easy and field sales can jump right into it and make everything happen, because they can't. So make sure that they're properly equipped. We talked about web conferencing. That's really important now because you can't see your customers. So make sure that you're maximizing all those opportunities where you can. I think one of the best ways to maintain your account base and maybe even win some new customers is be available now. Your customers don't have the time to keep calling back, and if they have to really search you out and get to someone and it takes multiple calls, you're going to lose them because your customer will be there ready to pounce. Have a strategy where you can augment your overall sales activity with inside sales. So sit down with your team, sit down with maybe your inside sales reps, your field sales rep, your sales manager, and develop a strategy. I think it's fair to say that for lubrication marketers and for a lot of other industries, there's places that are running at full capacity, and there are some that are just straight up shut down. So understand the difference between the two and do everything you can to support those that are running at full capacity, and be transparent with them, let them know what's going on, and work with them to keep them going, because chances are if they're running at full capacity, they are producing some of the best times they've ever had, and that can be very stressful. So support them. Conversely, if you have a customer that's shut down, talk to them, understand what's going on in their industry, understand when they think they might see a uptick in their business or where things are to get strong, and continue to support them and let them know that you'll be there. And right now, if they're not ordering as much, it might be a good way to help you reduce your cost of sales to have inside sales help you with those customers. So kind of a a summary of some of the best practices for today. Don't lose touch with your customers. Support them, support them, support them, and let them know what your plan to support them is. There is no harm in over communicating because it'll show you're prepared, you're organized, and they're important. So I can't stress that enough. If you have other resources to help your customers and prospects, introduce them as a resource and give them more places to go than just one person, because that will really help them and it'll really help speed things up. If there's shortages, if there's delays, product is not coming in on time, let your customers know, tell them how that's going to affect them, and do whatever you can to offset that. So maybe it might mean stocking up now. It might be buying less now, but getting more deliveries. Whatever it is, work with them, be transparent, and they'll appreciate it. Again, I think, we've discussed it today, and we are all aware of how tough these times are. So help your customers. Be a resource and let them know that they're important to you. And let them know that when things pick up again, you will be there and you're going to help them take things back to the next level. So inside sales can really help lubricant marketers stay connected and engaged, and they can do this through working with your existing customers, but then also getting into that sales funnel. So understanding your leads, qualifying them, making good use of their time, and qualify them, move them to field sales to close, or disqualify them and revisit them at another day. So with that, I'll thank you all very much for attending today. I hope there were some good tips there, and I will pass it back to you, Julia.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of that great information, Greg. I don't know about all of you, but I definitely learned a lot of new things today and how to better respond to customers given the current climate. If you're interested in learning more about how to succeed with inside sales or want to learn more about Ledgeview's CRM for oil and gas products as a lubricant marketer, head on over to our resource library and download the many infographics and ebooks we have on a variety of topics for you. Do some LedgeviewPartners.com exploration. We have something to offer for all learning styles, whether you like infographics, videos, ebooks, blogs, or something else. Our resources are always available for complimentary download. We also post a new blog every weekday, including topics like sales, CRM, marketing, working from home tips, thought leadership, and so much more. So subscribe to the Ledgeview Partners blog if you haven't already and don't want to miss any of that. Thanks again for taking some time out of your day to join us for today's call. Let us know how we can help you. We offer inside sales outsourcing programming, sales consulting, our CRM for oil and gas products, and much more. We're very excited to see you back for more webinars virtually this month and hope you and yours are doing and feeling well. We'll see you all soon. Have a wonderful evening.